what I want to definitely just acknowledge, man, is that it's not abnormal to feel frustrated or to question or to feel overwhelmed and feel irritated. The Bible says be angry, but what? Sin not. Right? So it's letting you know that that is a natural response. So to think about it, I have to figure out, why am I irritated? What up, what up, what up? We are here once again. Another edition of a Father's Heart podcast with George, no Cole. So how we gonna say it? With Shon, no Cole, and my brother George. George, what's good with you today, man?
Not much, man. I'm trying to share this. That's why you're hearing a double thing. I'm trying to share it on my page, but nothing much, man. This has been a very, very, very interesting week for me. Typically, I'll have maybe one client in crisis, throughout the week.
Yeah.
And this week been a rough week. I had about 4 that's in like ongoing situations and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that as a complaint or throw off or anything like that. I'm just saying it's a rough time for people right now. You know what I'm saying? So, typically in those times, I just try to really like sit back and, process, see what's going on and see what's the best way to offer help and stuff like that. Life be lifing, man. Life be lifing.
So it sounds like listen, right now, you're not having a shortage in your industry.
Not at all. Not at all. And just on a transparent note, we have to be like super, super intentional about our self-care. So for me, I do have like the seasonal depression or whatever. So December, January, February is typically the roughest months for me. Start coming out right around March, April, and different things like that. And so like when you have something that happened last week, where last week it was 80, and then you come back, like last week I had a burst of energy. Like I got back into my personal gym. Like I still work out, but I got back to my personal gym. I had a burst of energy and stuff like that. And it's like when Monday came and I woke up to snow, snatched all of that out. So like people just kind of be conscious of yourself, like know the things that drain you or the things that uplift you and different things like that, and try to implement as many of those uplifting or encouraging or motivational things as you possibly can. You got to know yourself. Because I was definitely trying to figure out what was going on.
So yeah, I mean, you going right into it, but my thing is like, I'm really curious, like how did you discover that those months was particularly triggered for you? Because tonight, what I wanted to talk about, because there are people that's challenged, right? I do want to. I like to deal with real life situations, right? And so my thing is like, what to do when those that are closest to you are irritating you, right?
Gotcha.
And a lot of times, man, we make very bad decisions in those moments.
Absolutely.
Right? Very bad decisions in those moments, and it's hard to recover when you do something or say something in those moments. Is like straight up, it's hard to recover from those. So before we really go into that part of it, I'm really curious of finding out, how did you discover like those months were triggers for you, or you were challenged? Because it could be dangerous, right? Because if you're talking about November, December, January, or you said December,
January, and February are typically like low vibrating months for me. Yep.
So those months in particular, you can say some stuff, man, that will be hard for you to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, it's a double question: is how did you realize that those were challenging months for you, and what did you do to address that, to not destroy your household, bro?
Yeah, cool. So for me, and this could be different from like multiple people. December, I experienced one of the most traumatic times. of my life, and this is we're talking 10, 15 years ago, and so I knew it before I knew it, if that makes sense. And I had to like really do like some memory exercises and different things like that, and start thinking because multiple things can trigger you. I'm saying memories can trigger you. Times of the year can trigger you. Weather can trigger you. Music can trigger you. All of these different things can remind you of not so favorable times in your life. And so for me, it was definitely December was definitely a bad month that and so like just when that time comes back around every year, I'm typically kind of preparing for it come October, November, and different things like that. I'm typically trying to prepare for it, and how I prepare for it is first of all being communicating. I'm saying I let people around me, know that this is coming, or I assume that it's coming, so they can be aware. So I start doing like my pre-apologies or whatever, like if I'm a little bit irritable, and then one thing I do is I give people the space and the safety to call me out. I don't even want to say call me out because it ain't never really like that, but I do. I give the space and opportunity for people to address it or say, "Hey, what I'm saying? You okay?" What I'm saying? Different things like that. That way, if I start exemplifying some of those characteristics, being irritable, easily angered, or different things like that, then it's safe for them to say, "Hey, you tripping," or something like that, or "Hey, you okay," or something like that, and that kind of gives me a self check to kind of bring myself down and analyze, like, am I really upset? Am I really irritated? Am I really feeling like that, or am I re-traumatizing myself or what?
So I have a follow up question on that though. So so my question would be, people may say, if you know that you're going into that, aren't you playing a role in making it manifest by saying, "Hey, these are my months that I
Mhm.
get triggered, or my low vibration month." It's like, yo, if you know that, like, why are you putting that out in the atmosphere? Why are you?
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question, and I think the answer to that is awareness. Because I'm saying it, like, so. This is the thing with mental health. This is the thing with emotional health, and this is the thing with behavioral health. A lot of people think that you can just control it, right? That you can just say, "Well, I know this is going to happen, so since I know it's going to happen, I'm gonna do this, that, and it's not going to happen now." And that's where people mess up. Mental health, emotional health, behavioral health is not about controlling anything. You cannot control the thoughts that come into your brain. What you can do is manage them. What you can do is navigate them so they're not detrimental to everything that you got going on. I
Yeah,
have
you
so
shaking,
many.
you shaking. You got your, yeah, yeah, you got the camera
You
shaking
know
like.
what I'm saying? Okay, my fault, my fault. But I've had multiple people come into the office and will diagnose, or they'll be aware of some of the things that they face. And one of the things that they ask a lot is, "So how do you cure it?" And you don't cure it, and you know what I'm saying, you manage it, because we cannot control the thoughts that come into our brain. We cannot control the memories that come into our brain. We definitely can't control the trauma that we have experienced. It becomes, and this is going to sound like very, very depressing, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's the truth. It becomes a part of you. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a part of you. It becomes attached to you. It becomes internalized. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't eradicate it. You can't uh, throw it out. The movie Men in Black. You remember how Will Smith and Tommy Jones, they would have the little pen that they would push, and then it would erase. Memories like that don't exist in real life. You know what I'm saying? It's there. It happened. It's a part of you. It's a part of your journey and different things like that. And there might be certain things, like we talked about, certain times of the year, certain weather, certain music, certain colors, whatever, what I'm saying, that remind you of that time. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not aware of that, if you're not aware of it, if you haven't prepared for it, if you haven't braced for it, or different things like that, it's going to send you into acting different ways where you don't even really like understand how you act. You ever done something or responded to something or reacted to something, and then as at the after it's already happened, now you're reflecting and you're like, "Man, I took it too far,"
Yep,
or "I didn't even have to say that," or
yep,
man, I did a little bit too much this time,"
yep.
or whatever. That's what that is. You know what I'm saying? Something triggered you. And if you don't know what those triggers are, if you're not aware of what those triggers are, if you're not prepared for what those triggers are. You cannot disarm them. And if you cannot disarm them, then they do what they do, which is set you off into what was it on Get Out? Where was he sinking to the sunken place?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it pushes you into the sunken place. And a lot of us, bro, have sunken places that we go to actually quite frequently because we're not aware, we're not prepared, you know what I'm saying? Or we just try to power our way through. You don't power your way through mental health. You don't power your way through emotional health. You navigate it, you learn, you identify, and you intentionally do something to make sure, like we said earlier, because you was talking about you get into these spots where people is irritating you, and now you done said something you can't take back.
Yep.
You know, now you done done something you can't take back, and it's been caused like great harm to the people that you love the most or the people that you connected to the most. And so, like, you know what I'm saying, ignoring it or avoiding it or acting like I got it, you know what I'm saying, like that's never beneficial. You got to
Yeah.
know, you got to be aware.
That's really interesting, right? I really, we are living in some times, man, that like I look at a dual, right? I look
Yeah.
at it as that, like, man, we are living in some incredible times, man, where some really amazing things are taking place, right? Because I'm seeing transformation in
Mm-hmm.
some of the spaces, man. I'm seeing some really incredible things. I'm seeing people overcoming. Like it was a dad who's in our program, and I'm gonna have him on here, in a few weeks. What up, Kev? I mean, thanks for coming through, brother, for real.
Okay.
um, this dad who didn't know who knew his child. He met her at birth, and mom and him fell out. She moved out of state, and we were able to give him some money to travel to the state where his daughter is. When
Mm-hmm.
he enrolled in the program, bro, had no idea where she was or any of that. And I'm quite sure you know exactly who I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But bro, he sent me a picture and I'll put it in the group. He was in her state this past weekend with her at Dave and Buster's, seeing her for the very first time since she was born. Um, and so this dude, for him, is sunshine, right?
Yes.
Is
Yep.
is sunshine, is
Yeah.
some. So there are some amazing things going on, but I am not ignorant to know that there is another side for
Absolutely.
some other people, right? And there's many times, man, in my prayer life where I would, come in, focus on one thing, and next thing I know, God is dropping an individual on me. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, that person is going through, and I'll send them a text or I call them, like, yo, just checking on you. And and things are not always glitz and glamour where they are, and which is causing or the stresses of life is causing some turmoil or um, some some barriers, some challenges in the
Yeah.
home, right? Couples and people who were doing absolutely amazing in the stresses of life post COVID is intensifying some things that was not addressed prior to COVID, right?
Correct.
And so the world that we live in now is definitely different, man.
100%.
Definitely different. And me personally, George, I'm just trying to stay just in a place of awareness, right? Of you know, God, who did you call me to today?
Yeah.
Because people wear these masks. They wear these masks each and every day, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just don't know what to do, right? Don't
Yeah.
know what to do. And they are drinking more, they smoking more, they are escaping more.
Yeah.
And it's tough for some people, and I get it. And so that's why I wanted to bring this conversation up tonight, um, about when you are in this place and you're not the only place. And what I do a lot of times when I'm speaking in the audience, I raise my hand like, yo, how many of you are A, B, C, and D, right?
Yeah.
And I do that just so those individuals know, like, yo, I'm not the only one. And so if I could, I would be, even to our studio audience right now, like, yo, how many of you are overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
You know things will get better, but right now I'm just overwhelmed. And and I know a lot of people raise their hand. And so to them, George, um, that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because number one, I want them to know that they're not the only one, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then two, what I did with my son and daughter yesterday, training them, I was talking to them about when they're competing, when they feel like the person that they're competing with sometime may be better than them, and then what happens, it gets in their head, and then they start playing down instead of playing
Absolutely.
up,
Yeah.
right?
What you
And
think,
so
how you think is how you act. Yeah,
absolutely. And so
100%. It controls your behavior.
my thing to them was, it's okay to go down that path, but what we can't do is pitch a tent and build a house.
Hmm.
And so you may be going through something right now. And what I want to say, and what I want you to speak to, George, is to let them know, or give some strategies on how not to build a house and dwell in the place to where you will start verbalizing, saying stuff, because
Hmm.
you're irritated and overwhelmed.
Yep. So I feel like it's important that you have your individual, because we talking about households, right? So I feel like it's important to have individual relationships, individual communication, and individual conversations with every member of the household. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's super, super important. You can have household rules that, you know what I'm saying, that everybody generally abide by, but you're going to have different personalities. You're going to have different characteristics, and you're going to have, different tolerance levels. And so a lot of parents, when they come to me and, you know what I'm saying, they say everything but I need a break from my kids. Why? Because it don't sound right. You know what I'm saying? It don't sound right. But if you're a parent and you're a human that is also a human that may share some similarities but has a different brain, have different emotional range, have different cares, concerns, different values, and different things of that nature. So I'm saying that to say, if you're a parent that need a break from your children, that doesn't make you a bad parent. Now, you also need to understand that your children occasionally need breaks from you. You know what I'm saying? And it just don't sound good, right? You know what I'm saying? You need to understand that your significant other needs occasional breaks from you, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Because people, the family can be unified and be on one accord, but all still have individual lives or individual journeys or individual paths. That's going to be hard for a lot of people to that's going to be hard for people to understand, you know what I'm saying, because they think that unify mean that we all think alike, or unify mean that we all act alike, you know what I'm saying, or unify even mean we all believe alike, and that's not what that means at all. That means that I appreciate and I honor and I value your opinion. I appreciate, I honor, and I value your perspective. You know what I'm saying? It differs from mine. You know what I'm saying? But we have a common goal, which is harmony. A common goal is which we have to coexist. A common goal in which we have to tolerate. You can absolutely have a tolerance level for the people that you love, and sometimes people don't understand that, so they put themselves in positions or they put themselves in proximity of somebody who they're not compatible with, and it's always explosions. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to know your tolerance level for every single individual in your home. That's going to be hard for people to
Yeah.
understand because people been watching Cosby, you know what I'm saying? And they've been watching Family Matters and different things like that. And they think that everything is supposed to be happily ever after. At the end of the day, we come to the table, we say grace, and we have, and that's not reality because you're dealing with different human beings. And it's
Yeah.
okay. It doesn't mean you don't love. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean that y'all disconnected. It means that y'all different people.
And George, I mean, I want to acknowledge what Tasha just said. She said she let the whole house know.
Yeah, I do the same.
Yo, she said the whole house. And
Yep.
not
Like,
only
just
did
stay
she
out my way, Tasha. Is that what you're saying?
listen, she put about 8 exclamation points on that boy. Like,
Like,
I'm
stay
letting
out
the
my way
whole
or go to
house know. To
warpath.
me, that was claps. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I'm glad you mentioned that, right? Because people, it's easy to feel guilty
Yes.
when you feel or you say or you think contrary what people say,
Yep.
and you think you're the only one that think that way.
Yep.
Listen, man, if we keep it 100, when I got married early on, and Leah and I talked about it, you mean, and I talked to other guys, like early on when we first got married, yo, it was amazing, right? And then we went through a space there, and I was like, yo, did I marry the right person?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, but that's hard to say
Yeah, because it don't sound nice.
because it doesn't sound right,
Even though
right?
every husband and every wife have said it.
No, they're gonna say they didn't. So
Yeah, and I'm gonna call him a liar. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna call it that happens in marriage because we be thinking that, you know what I'm saying, and this could be for multiple different reasons, societal reasons, cultural reasons, religious reasons. You be thinking that, you know, because it typically talks about you becoming one flesh, it means you come one mind, and you absolutely do not become one mind. As a matter of fact, you can most times you opposites attract, so you're supposed to complement each other. But because she not thinking like he is, or he ain't thinking like, it's like, oh my God, what did I do? You know what I'm saying? And it's, you know what I'm saying? But you can't say these things out loud. You can't say these things publicly, you know what I'm saying? Because people think, what's wrong with you? Because it doesn't sound nice. And we got to stop sounding nice and be more concerned with sounding accurate. I care more about what's really going on than the image that I'm portraying.
come on, say that
You
again,
know what
bro.
I'm saying?
Say
Like
that
you have
again,
to,
bro.
you
Say
have to
that
care more.
again.
You have to care. I'm gonna say it another way. You have to care more about the reality than the perception.
Man.
It's super, super, super important. That's hard to do right now because either directly or indirectly, subconsciously or in either subconsciously or consciously, we are in competition with each other. Everybody is. You got social media. You looking. You know what I'm saying? You might not be jealous. You might not be envious. You might not be any of those things. But you look. We all. You know what I'm saying? Seeing what each other got going on, or assuming we seeing what each other got going on every single day. And so we tend to lean more towards the side of perception than reality.
Man, that's good,
And
man.
and that's dangerous. You
That's
know
good.
why that's dangerous? It's dangerous for one of my favorite quotes that you say all the time about people being public success but private failures. What's really going on?
Yeah, man. George, you know,
That's
I look at when I talk to some new husbands or whatever the case, and I talk to men, and they beat around the bush, and then I say what I said about where I was concerned early in my marriage if my wife was the one I was supposed to be with, bro. You
mm-hmm.
could see the relief come off of them. Like, man, I'm not the only one.
Somebody else thinking it too. Yeah,
Somebody else. You mean, and it wasn't during the times that we were having an amazing relationship. It was in those times of difficulty and the times
yeah.
of challenge. Is like, yo,
It's
what's
easy to get along when everything gets hunky dory.
absolutely, absolutely. And
It's
so
easy to love when everything going, you know what I'm saying? Like you want it and everything is smooth selling and stuff like that. It's super easy. It's the challenging times that makes the difference.
And so, what I want to definitely just acknowledge, man, is that it's not abnormal to feel frustrated or to question or,
Yeah. It's not.
to feel overwhelmed and feel irritated. The Bible says, be angry, but what? Sin
It's
not.
not.
Right? So it's letting you know that that is a natural response. So to think
Yeah.
about it, I have to figure out why am I irritated. I give you a real point, man. And and I don't just say this, George. I'm telling you, man, you know what my wife and I've been through. But I need to say publicly, bro, my wife is super dope. And where we are today, it took a lot of work. And
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm still work in progress. Yesterday, I had a conversation with somebody who sent me an email, who want to do business with us, right?
Yeah.
And I'm listening to them, and they're telling me all of this stuff, but what I was hearing was irritating me, and I was getting upset. Right, just listening. I'm like, yo, these people trying to come into our community. They're not trying to look out for the little guys. It's like, yo, why are they, you know, in a whole nother city, a whole nother trying to come here and do it. And you have so many amazing people here already
Yeah,
doing the work. Why they not? So yo, I'm already cutting this person off. Like yo, I'm not doing business with it, and I'm just being transparent.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not doing business. And part of me, because I know how I am, and I'm still working on me, and and I always hold myself accountable because again, George, I don't want to be a public success and a private failure.
Right.
And so part of me, I'm like, you know what? I want to make sure that this is not my ego. I want to make sure that this
Yeah,
is not that side of me where I'm being prideful, where it's all about me, where I'm letting my feelings get in the way. I want to make sure it's none of that type of stuff. So the first thing I
yeah,
did, bro, is that I called my wife and I told her what went down. And I said, babe, I need you to tell me from what I'm sharing with you. And I said, I'm doing the best I can to paraphrase.
yeah,
Am I being in George's word, I feel like I was being little bro, right? And
yeah,
she said, tell me what was said. And I told her, she said, babe, I don't really hear that. She said, is that, and I gave her permission. And she said to me, she said, Shon, is that your ego?
yeah,
Is that your ego?
yeah,
Or did the person really say, I said, babe, that's why I'm calling you. I said, because I do feel some type of way. I said, but it may be my ego, but I need you to help me process this. And she was like, you know what? Why don't you set up a call where we could all be on a call and I could listen in?
yeah.
And bro, I set up a meeting. We talked early this morning and she's navigating the conversation and she's looking at me and she said, no, Shauna, was your ego.
It was you.
And so we
Now,
listened, so I listened and I said, babe, listen, I'm not too big to tell you or to say if it was my ego or not. And I
mm-hmm.
said, that's why I brought it to you for you to balance me because I know I can get distracted. I know I can get in my feelings. And so I'm like, that's why I gave you, I wanted you to be a part of this because
Yeah,
I don't want to make a decision that would destroy or would not give an opportunity to the fathers or to the people in this community because I'm letting my ego get in the way.
it's perfect that you would get there because that goes right back, bring us full circle to where we started. You have to be aware. And when I'm talking about aware, self aware. If you were not self aware, you would have blew that opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, but you know that this is one of your things that you struggle with. So you have set in place self checks,
Yep.
safety
I did.
precautions. If the people around you cannot hold you accountable, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you don't want to hear it, even when it kind of challenges you or pull you, then that's a you problem. It's not the people around you that you say you love, that you say you're attached to, that you say you're accountable to, and different things like that, that you feel like you're responsible for. They should be my children have taught me some of the most valuable lessons about myself that nobody else was able to do. Now, if I was under the impression I brought you, or under the mindset I brought you in this world, I'll take you out. What I say goes. I'm the king of this castle and all of that stuff. I would never have learned them lessons and I would have never made the appropriate adjustments necessary. You have to listen to the people that surround you. The
Yep.
people that surround you the most know you the best,
Yep.
whether you like it or not. Like, there's no way they cannot. The people that surround you the most know you the best. And if you're not willing to hear them, understand them, you know what I'm saying? And give them one thing. You call it permission. I call it safety. It's the same thing. People have to be allowed to tell you about yourself, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
It's the only way we change.
Yep.
Otherwise, we just keep going, doing, operating, and blowing it.
Yep.
That's what it is. We be blowing it.
Yep. And my
Yep.
thing is, and even if because it's important, and I want to acknowledge that if you are in a space where it's unhealthy, and those are closest to you that are unhealthy, right, and they are not, don't have your best interests at heart, and you're like, yo, I can't confide in them.
Yeah.
I get it. My thing is that you have to find a tribe or community that
Gotta
can
find your
hold you
people.
accountable.
You got to find your people. You got to find your people.
You have to find your tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm of the school, man. I don't like giving those 80-year-old testimonies that I did this and I did that, because my thing is, man, is that I am still growing each and every day, bro.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I'm giving a real example of not a few years ago. This was yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where these people was like, hey, you know, you was recommended by this person at the state level. This person over here at the courts said I should call you. And yeah, I was concerned, right? I was concerned. And so my wife got me together. You know what I mean? And I wasn't disrespectful to the people. I was very professional, but on my insides, I was struggling, bro.
Yeah.
I was struggling. Yeah. And she helped me see where my blind spots was getting in the way. And so I'm just like, yo, I appreciate it. And I told her tonight, man, I was like, yo, word is bond, man. I really appreciate you, because she could have easily kicked my back in. You know what I mean? To take that, like, yo, you all about this and that. But no, that wasn't her, right? She knew, like, that was a blind spot for me. And she handled it with care. So now she know that if I have another challenge where I need to be vulnerable, that I can bring it. Now I know that she's not going to kick my back in, right? Because I know that she has my best interest at heart. And so in those moments, if I am irritated, if I am upset, I know that I have to process these thoughts, because what I say now can really take me a lifetime to come out of, because that person is going to say, yo, yeah, you was upset, you was angry, yeah, you was drunk, yeah, you was high, but you meant that thing.
Yeah.
And they're going to bring that back up some years later, that, yo, you remember when you said such and such? Or they may not even say it, but they are living with the words that you said. Now,
you can say some things or do some things that you can't take back.
And so my final point on that is that you may have already said some things. So how do you restore and recover, right? It may take a whole lot of work, but my thing is, all you can control is what you can control. And you can show it by doing what is right each and every day, right?
You got to live it.
That you are different.
You have to live it down. Like that's the way we say it. Like you got to some stuff. You just got to live it down. And when you have harmed, hurt, wounded, or somebody, you can't tell them how long it should be. Like one of the worst things you could tell somebody, I know that happened, but you should be over that by now. You don't get to determine that.
Man,
just like if you give somebody a physical wound, you don't get to determine when that wound heals. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to determine how it's affected. You don't get to determine whether it's re-wounded. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't get to determine that. You put it there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you don't get to tell somebody how or when to heal.
That's good.
And if you're genuine about it and you know you caused it, and you work through it with them. But you don't get to do that. A lot of people think they can, but you don't get to tell somebody you should just get over that, and you did it.
That's good.
That's not okay.
That's good. And guess what, man? We'll end on that note, man. We'll end on that note. But we can't get out of here without a legit or not legit, man.
Okay, legit or not legit, or do you got one?
No, go, bro.
Is it legit or not legit that Cole is averaging one absence a month? I think that's not legit. He's not here, so he can't defend himself.
Did you just...
Cole, we love you, bro. That's my way. So I miss you, and that's just my defense mechanism. That's how I act out.
Did you just...
We love you, Big Cole. We love
you. Did. Cole, he got you. He called you out on that. So
next week is gonna be interesting.
So my answer, if can I do an if in there, or is it just straight up legit or not legit?
We've never did an if before. It wouldn't be kosher to do it. Cole gonna light me up.
It's not legit. It's not. It's not legit. Tracy, like, George, she missed you. You said you started trouble, boy.
Love you, Tracy.
I'm out of here on that, man.
We out of here, man. I gotta get to my last session of the night, man.
All right, man. Be good, brother. See you next week.
All right.